We are live. Anyway, hi there. I am Aaron. Welcome to the movie club. I'm down here in my movie library. This is my 2001 video. Unfortunately, I don't think I can make it as epic as Stanley Kubrick made the actual 2001. I do not have his editing cinematography skills, but we have a few things to talk about tonight. We are going to talk about the Scream Factory. Hey, Corey. We're going to talk the Scream Factory releases that are coming out, the announced. We are going to talk about Indicator. We're going to talk about an MVD Rewind, which I watched last night with all the features and that. And we are going to talk about what's coming up this weekend. And hey, David, that is Wrestlemania. In my best old school Vince type of way. Anyway, I actually went out and got the WWE channel, which I haven't had in a while, so that I could watch WrestleMania this weekend. I bought a couple bags of chips, bought some dip, and some bars and stuff. Then I looked at how long WrestleMania is and how many matches there are, and I realized I'm probably gonna have to get some more chips and dip. Hey, Sculter. But first off, I guess the best place to start is there were some announcements in the Blu-ray world today from Scream Factory. There's a few from Indicator. So let's see who's interested in what when it comes to that. That'll be the start, and we'll go from there. I did watch a movie which I do want to talk about in a little bit because none of you guys watch my reviews. That's why. Because when I pre-tape something, you're just not there. Shame on you. I will pre-tape anyway. I'm just teasing you guys. Anyway, so let's look at the announcements. Let's look at the Indicator announcements first. It's going to be easier. Indicator's actually announced 4 titles today. One is which is kind of a biggie, and I want to see which, if any, of these titles you guys are going to pick up. And see if you can convince me. I'm not quite sure on these. So they announced their latest bundle, and oh my God, can I get to this? Please. I hate when I go to a Facebook page. Yeah, scum, you already ordered scum. Which I'm going to hopefully get to talk about, because you know what? I've gone to their page, and do I see it here on the page? No, I don't. First thing I see is Dragon Wick review. I don't want to see the reviews, guys. I want to see what you guys, you should be pimping your latest stuff. Just saying. Just saying. Let's go to their page. See if that helps out. This is killing me. So, how are you guys doing today? Because this, wow, let's go to one of my favorite places to go check out, Dawn of the Discs, because they will definitely have the announcements here. Perfect. See, go down to this. That's what you need to do. So here are the 4 that are coming out. David just mentioned one of them. I'll mention it again in a second. I was going to leave that one for last because that's kind of the big one. And you guys can let me know your thoughts on any of these titles, and I will let you know my thoughts. So first, there is The Lonely Passion of Judith Hearn. And that's directed by Jack Clayton. And I'm not going to lie to you, I really, that's not ringing any bells to me. Not ringing any bells at all. So, could be a great movie. Could be one of those movies that I just don't know about yet. It might be a favorite of mine down the road. But at this point, it's pretty lonely. It's going to have to stay pretty lonely. Not that excited. Unless one of you guys know something about this film, that can't get me excited. Yeah, same here, David. Next up is The Missionary, and that's, Michael Palin from Monty Python, Maggie Smith, Trevor Howard, and Denholm Elliott. I think I should know this one, but I don't think I do. And I really like, hey, Culture Trini. I really like Michael Palin, so I usually watch anything that he's in. You love The Missionary? I don't know if I've seen it, David. I'll be completely honest with you. This may be one that like skipped me by at some point. But definitely that's one I'll be looking into owning, because I grew up on Monty Python, and my whole sense of humor, which can be very annoying, ask my better half, comes from Monty Python. Next up is Black Joy, and what the... Again, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what Black Joy is. Oh, The Missionary's Handmade. I love anything that comes from handmade films. For people that aren't aware, David obviously, as he mentioned, handmade films. Handmade films has the Beatles connection of being, with George Harrison. That's how films like one of my favorites over there, With No Eye, got made in the first place. So anytime I see something that has a handmade films like logo on it, I know it's going to be something I like. They never steer me wrong. I've always liked stuff that's been put up by handmade. So that's become kind of a must now. And of course, the most famous one, the one that everybody is probably aware of, is Scum. And Scum is coming out in a big edition. It's gonna be kind of like The Last Picture Show. I think The Last Picture Show, the Dennis Hopper film, the last movie. It's gonna have a big edition, lots of features. You're gonna want that one. It's gonna look kind of like the size-wise and stuff. You can pretty much think it's gonna be kind of like Night the Demon. So if you like Night the Demon, if you like the esoteric, the aesthetic look of Night of the Demon, then you're probably going to like the look of Scum as well, because it's going to have that same hard box thing. It's going to be a little bit like thicker than a regular indicator, and it'll have a bunch of stuff in there, probably like a booklet and maybe a poster, maybe some postcards, who knows. Maybe they'll throw some other stuff in there as well. They're pretty good with that. Indicator all the time, pretty sure. So for me right now, Scum, yeah, definitely. Last movie, thank you. That's what I was trying to remember, David. You're a fountain of knowledge here today, and I need it. I just literally woke up. I was going to come down to make a video about must have been over an hour ago. I told my better half, she was up resting. She got home, she was not feeling the best. So I said, I'm going to go down, I'm going to make a video. Came downstairs. I said, I'm going to charge my iPad for like 5-10 minutes to make the video. Fell asleep in the chair. Woke up with my leg up over the chair, right? Oh, get Torture Garden if you don't have it. Get Torture Garden. And when I woke up, my leg was completely asleep, like completely asleep. So all of me is awake except for my leg, right? So my foot is like tingling, that like weird toe sensation that you get, that tingling kind of like pins and needles sensation. And I literally had to, hey Peter, grab my leg by my jeans like this and just plop it over. I am not kidding. That's how I woke up. I was in a deep, deep sleep, and my leg, apparently, it was still there. Anything by Alan Clark, definitely I recommend. So Scum is one that I'm going to recommend. It was just mentioned there by Murdersville that Torture Garden, and I said another one, I think, is going out of print. So, hold on. Let's do this right. So, this is Torture Garden. It was put up by Indicator. It is one of the better Amicus anthologies. I like all the Amicus anthologies, but this is one of my favorites. I don't have the Alan Clark BFI box set. The TV version is coming. Ooh, I'm going to pick that up too. I knew you would be, Warlock. So if you don't have Torture Garden, they'll probably put it out again later without this booklet, but this is an awesome, amazing, thick, well done booklet, which you're going to want. So just make sure you grab Torture Garden before it goes out of print and you miss out on that sexy, 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 sexy booklet. If you're an Alan Clark fan, there's a BFI set which was just mentioned that apparently is something I need to get. And I got to keep this in my hand. Ah, Torture Garden also was a gift from my wife, Warlock. We have good wives. So, from Announcements from Scream Factory today. So I guess first off, the big announcement is that Green Inferno is going to be delayed. I'm not too bothered. I'm not bothered. The Jack Palance one, The Man Who Collected Poe, that is a good one. They also announced the features for When a Stranger Calls Back, which are as follows. It's going to have the new 2K scan with 133, which is the original TV broadcast ratio, and an alternate 178 178 ratio as well. Directing a Stranger, an interview with director Fred Walton, an interview with Carol Kane, an interview with actress Jill Sholin, and Fred Walton's original short film The Sitter, and a TV spot. I think most of, if not all, this stuff is on the one that I got, the second sight one. Maybe it's different interviews, I'm not sure. But I'll be sticking with my second sight edition of When a Stranger Calls Back and When a Stranger Calls, because they came together there. Me too, David. Now, they also made the announcement that they were going to be putting out a second volume of the Universal Horrors one. So, as you guys know, it wasn't originally going to be called Universal Horrors. Hey, and Ready Man, how's it going? We are talking everything from movie announcements to WrestleMania weekend. So, I'm going to get my predictions on here, and I'll get your guys as well. So they're announcing a second volume to Universal Horrors. Hopefully there'll be some features on this. I'm not sure what they're going to put on it, like beside from maybe like in the story and commentary, stuff like that. But it'll be interesting to see. Now, as for like as for film wise, what is on the new second volume of the Scream Factory? Yeah, they did. Eureka did put like a 3 blank thing as an announcement there earlier. So yeah, so it is for the Universal Horrors Collection set number 2, which you're not going to be able to see very well there. There's Murders in the Zoo, The Mad Ghoul, The Mad Doctor of Market Street, and The Strange Case of Dr. X. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm actually way more interested in this than I was in the previous one that was titled before, the Karloff Lugosi set. But it says volume 2, damn it, so I may have to get that other set as well. I still think that it looks like a budget title based on what their, guess what it looks like. The covers are horrible. It's very lazy cover work for Scream Factory, for the Universal Horror Collection. Content is awesome. The cover work kind of looks like something you see in a Kmart dollar bin. But it is what it is. It happened this way because he had a really fancy cover. Dark Universe. I actually own the Mummy, which not a perfect film, but let's be honest, it's not as bad as everybody says it is. There's way worse versions of the Mummy. Because I'm gonna let you out a little secret. I'm in the minority. I'm not a huge fan of the Mummy franchise that came out with Brandon Fraser. I like more horror in my Mummy. So hopefully one of these days they realize to get it right. You couldn't get through the Mummy? I could, and because it was weird. It was more of a setup than a film, and you see that with a lot of films now. They're trying too hard to set up universes, connected universes type of thing. Then they are actually working on, hey, why don't we make a good film? And then people will want to see it continue. And then we can slowly connect our universe that way. Rather than work on connecting our universe first. And then just assuming people are going to be really interested in it. Because we have big plans down the road. So it's kind of like, as my grandparents would say, you don't put the cart before the horse. Actually, yeah, I do like the first one. It was the later ones I wasn't big on, and the PS2 graphics from Scorpion King movie. Why do they keep making those? I guess they're fun straight to DVD like releases. But how many Scorpion King movies are there at this point? How many Scorpion Kings had there been? There's been a lot, hasn't there? And a lot of them are UFC fighters, aren't they? Anyway, got distracted there. Sorry about that. But there are a few more releases we got to talk about. Also announced today, and I'm pretty stoked about this announcement. I want to is Lust for a Vampire. Actually, yeah, actually, I'm more excited, David. I'm really glad. My sister's a huge, my youngest sister is a huge Johnny Depp fan. But I'm a big, I want the more, I want a different Invisible Man than Johnny Depp. Yeah, Lust for a Vampire. As far as I know, this hasn't been on Blu-ray, has it? I am a super, so, getting a bit of a cold here, I think. I'm a super fan. Look, I now have the Invisible Man. I have beaten Johnny Depp to the punch. I'm a huge fan of Lust for a Vampire. I like that. I like the trilogy. It was a more sexy Hammer trilogy. It was like the later one. It was Lust for a Vampire, Twins of Evil, right? And Twins of Evil? Yeah, it's a Karnstein trilogy, right? And Vampire Lovers. And you can kind of, maybe it's quadrilogy, because you kind of put he doesn't. That's one that he wants to get. Like he's not as big a fan of it as some other films, but he likes the girls in it, like most of us do. And you know, it's Mike Raven. Twins of Evil too. Yeah, Twins of Evil, Vampire Lovers, Lust for Vampire. I would still put, like, you know, Vampire Circus in there too, because it does have the Karnstein kind of a connection. No Camilla. Well, Lust really is the later one too, when you really think about it. Later than like. But yeah, it has Mike Raven, and if you've ever seen Mike Raven, he's looks the part. We're not going to talk about his acting of the part too much. We're going to say he looks the part. So that's going to be, it's going to be interesting. As far as I know, you guys know better than I do for some of this stuff. I don't think there's a Blu-ray release of Lust for a Vampire that's out there yet, unless maybe there's a German release or something like that. Later, when Ralph Bates. I'm a huge fan of Ralph Bates. A huge Ralph Bates fan. I think he's highly underrated when it comes to acting. For one, when it comes to Hammer, people they always mention Christopher Lee. They'll mention Cushing, and they'll mention Michael Ripper. Well, of course, you know, because Michael Ripper's in all of them. He's the you know, he is the guy when it comes to that. But Bates is awesome. And I haven't seen a Bates Hammer film that I haven't liked. And yes, that includes the Frankenstein one, because I thought he did a good job for what he had to do. Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde. I love Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde. That's another one I want on Blu-ray. I think there's a Blu-ray of that one out in the UK. Studio Canal, I think, put that one out. I don't have that one yet. And I should, because it's one of the ones that I saw, and it definitely left an impression on me, because they showed it on CBC Late Night when I was a kid. And they showed it uncut. And I like Martine Beswick. But it's very different. And when you really think about it, especially considering right now, it would be a fairly progressive film, wouldn't it? Like a horror film when you think about it, when it comes to gender and issues and stuff like that. I don't want to get deep or anything like that, but that's definitely like something coming up in a Hammer film in the 1970s, long before it became something that was kind of talked about in kind of like in a regular forum type of way. Anyway, I'm very excited about Lust for a Vampire. They also announced I think the features for the Reptile as well. And I got the Reptile a couple times, but I don't have it on Blu-ray. Now, if you've already got the UK release of the ones that have came out like before, then you don't really need to get the new Scream Factory ones, because I don't think there's any features that are going to be new. I haven't checked on the Reptile one, but I know the earlier ones that were released in the UK, they had the same features. But if you don't have them, grab them up, get the Hammer ones, make sure that they make more Hammer releases. Yep, Reptile. See, I got the Reptile, but only in DVD, Gallagher. Uh, David, I've got it in that 21 Hammer box set, the DVD one. So I am kind of due an upgrade. So that one may be one that I do want to be looking into. But Lust is the one I'm most excited about today. That's the one where I contacted my dad right away. We had a big conversation about it. Captain Kronos, thank you, Murdersville. I would love, love, love to see Captain Kronos get a good release. There's another movie that was ahead of its time. That was getting ready. That was trying to make a connected universe, and kind of like superhero, the horror universe, way, way before Universal was trying it. And doing a better job, in my opinion. I like Captain Kronos much better than I like Tom Cruise's The Mummy. I can tell you that one right now. Because, one, it's cool. He's got a sword. I love sword fighting. I love sword fighting films. I'm an Errol Flynn fan. Captain Blood is one of my favorite movies of all time. And Carolyn Monroe's in it. They are releasing a lot of stuff recently. Captain Cruise. And that's kind of neat. I like the fact that they're introducing a lot of older stuff. I just hope that they're going to keep putting on the features. Okay, so the Reptile. Oh, the Reptile wasn't announced before? Hey, Chad, how's it going, man? Really appreciate your comment on the last video, by the way, which I really, and anybody that's commented on the videos, thank you so much. But my better half read your comment. So that's that, and she reads some, she doesn't get to read all of it, but she actually read that comment. So if you've never seen the Reptile, it's actually got a really cool look to the creature. It's really different. It's not like something that was done before or done afterwards, really, unless you want to think about the Series V. But I do like the Reptile. The monster did freak me out, and it's one that I do want to get. I like the cover. Captain Kronos. I don't have the I would love to have the comic book. So this is really not showing it very well. So we're going to assume, I'm going to assume you kind of see that a little bit, tiny bit. I don't have my other iPad charged right now. That's why I don't have it down here doing these releases. I just realized something. It's going to take me 1 second, guys. I got to run upstairs and grab something and come back. Something that's actually very, very important. So I'll be right back. We got more features to talk about. I got an MVD Rewind that I watched that I think every one of you guys should own. I'm not joking. It's kind of that good, especially if you like indie films. And we'll also talk wrestling. So any of you guys interested in wrestling, let me know. I shall return. And I'm also going to talk about my favorite Punisher movie, inspired by listening to Just to This recently, actually. Michael Ripper, one of my favorites. Oh, you watched Nemesis? Nice. Whew. Anywho, in case you need to know where I went upstairs because if you're new to my channel, I have epilepsy. And I take pills 3 times a day. I'd forgotten to take my pills tonight, and never a good thing, so I had to run up and do that, so I apologize. Anyway, it's not an action movie that I watched last night from MVD Rewind. But can any of you guess what it is? This is also a good way to get a roll call of actually who is still here. See if we got Murdersville, David, Warlock, chat, see if everybody's still here. So last night, pretty much all night, because I watched the movie, I watched the features, then I watched the movie again. Oh, you know what it is, Scott knows what it is, with the commentary. And I had not seen this movie, actually not DOA. I watched DOA earlier, but I didn't watch all the features on it. So that's why you think it's DOA. There's another film that I watched right after DOA, actually, because DOA had another complete other movie on it as well, and a bunch of features. So I wanted to get something a little bit more feature light and a little bit lighter to watch. Hey, Rich. So last night, after I watched DOA, which is fantastic, by the way, I went to Coney Island on a mission from God, be back by 5. Now, I knew nothing about this film going in. This one just got an umbrella release? Or you just bought an umbrella film? Yeah, John Cryer. So John Cryer actually wrote this film. It was written with him and the director Richard Schenkman, and it's very much stories of the movie really is comprised of stories of things that actually happened to them. Now, John Cryer had heard, oh, nice, had heard that he heard from one of his friends that one of their friends from school was homeless, and he was over in Central Park, and he was messed up. No, they didn't believe it. They went out to Central Park to see, and they found him pretty fast. And he was pretty messed up. He was homeless. He was pretty messed up on drugs, and that kind of became which became the genesis for went to Coney Island on a mission from God, be back at 5. In this one, it isn't a drug thing actually. There's another reason for the person that is there, and that actually goes for the reason he becomes homeless. It is a great film. It is well constructed, and there are some great, like, Coney Island sequences, and if you're Brooklyn area, then you're gonna kind of fall in love with what they show within this film. This is definitely a well done story. It's layered, and it hits you in all the right places. This is so well done. The dialogue is crisp. It's tight. It's dare I say, kind of Mammoth style, in the way that in the way that the dialogue it makes sense. You meet all these characters. They meet all these characters along the way. They're going to basically to go and find their friend who they haven't seen in years, who they've become like they were friends along the way, but there's an incident that has them. Hey, Mark. Oh, I'm going to school, so you can feel free to ask. But I'm just getting ready to go to school, so it's going to be a while. That's my next step. It's a fantastic film. Now, when I picked this up, guys, it was $13 actually on Amazon CA. Since then, it has gone up quite a bit. I think it's gone up to like $25 or $30 type of thing. It is a really good release. It is now, just to give you an idea, if you're like maybe kind of like if you're into like the visuals and all that type of stuff, MVD worked with Richard Schenkman and John Cryer to do a frame-by-frame restoration for this film. So I want you to let it kind of sink in there. This movie, indie movie, I'd never heard of it before. They went with Cryer and the director, Cryer and director do an amazing commentary, which I do recommend. If you pick this up after you watch the movie, listen to the commentary as well. One thing that I find really good is the commentary when you get like the director and one of the actors, especially if they're really good friends. Think of like John Carpenter and Kurt Russell. They can talk, and they can talk about a lot of things because they're they're good friends in real life. Richard Schenkman and John Cryer are extremely good friends, and it shows in the commentary. It's really well done, and you'll have a blast listening to the commentary between the two guys. You get a lot of stories of their personal lives, and you see exactly where things were done. Warlock, honestly, I'm ecstatic with this release, and it's one of those that I didn't think. I bought it to run. I want to get all the MVD releases. Hey Wolf, I wanted to round it out basically to say, okay, I want to get this one now because it's cheap. It was the one I was least looking forward to. You know, there was the genre releases, the action stuff, but I don't know what it is about this film, but I grew up with two other best friends as well. Luckily and hopefully, none of us ever ends up like that way. But there's that time in your life when you're going to you're getting to a certain spot, and you haven't quite found yourself yet. You haven't quite got your niche, and something happens in your life that that's exactly what it is, David. That something happens, and all of a sudden it clicks, and you know what you've got to do. You know the path that you have to take. And like is mentioned in this film, sometimes it doesn't have to be something big or monumental that happens. Sometimes you just realize, and life happens when you least expect it. And that is, went to Coney Island on a mission from God, be back by 5. I strongly recommend it. If you're a fan of Richard Schickman and you want to see something else that is done different for him, Little Murders is one I really got to get. Because he also did something else by MVD Rewind. And this is probably going to surprise you. He did one of the features for one of the recent releases. So if you picked up Showdown from MVD Rewind, then there's a 98-minute, like behind the scene making of Showdown, the movie, that, you know, that action movie with Billy Blanks. That is directed by Richard Schickman. So kind of interested in checking that out now, because he's definitely a different type of a different choice for, like, maybe not for a documentary thing, but actually Showdown is never a movie that I thought was going to have a 98-minute like behind the scenes making of type of thing, kind of a retrospective documentary. But now that I know that Schickman's behind the camera, I'm actually really, really excited about this. Now, one thing I do have to mention, and I think it's really interesting to mention this has an amazing cast. Now, as you can see, John Cryer's there, but we got Rafael Biaz in this, Ione Skye. If you're an 80s kid like me, then you're going to know Ione Skye is. He's utterly gorgeous. Frank Whaley actually came in to do a part in this as well. And where this is shot in New York, there is a lot of New York stage actors in this one here. A lot of them. There's also, if you're a fan of The Sopranos, actually almost unrecognizable, is the actor that played Junior Soprano in The Sopranos in this film right here. The daughter of Donovan, yeah, and she's one that she's always been one of those actresses that she's gorgeous, but she never gets offered the big Hollywood blockbuster roles. She always gets offered the indie roles. This one actually doesn't have an alternate cover art. Not every one of the discs do. It does have, of course, the poster. Thanks, Dominic. Yes, isn't it? That's him. He actually gets to play it. He has false teeth, right? She did too, I think. 13 Wolf Man. But she made her. The fact is, she's a damn good actress, and that can be a great thing. And sometimes, at a certain point, that can be almost too great of a thing. And she gets, when people thought of her, I think they thought of her for these type of roles, these character pieces, these roles in in these indie hits, these things that would gain steam over time. That unfortunately isn't something that helps you out during the the 80s, when there's like a million different people out there unfortunately taking the different bigger roles. She is utterly gorgeous in this, and yeah, there's a ton of great actors and actresses in this one, including one of the actors that won a Tony actually for his role in the stage play Rent on Broadway, actually. So just keep an eye out for that one. Gas, Food, Lodging. Yeah, they mentioned that there was like 3 big movies for her that they really liked. One was Gas, Food, Lodging. They mentioned they've seen like 3 or 4 of her films. She never had to audition for the movie at all. They just offered her the role. There was no auditioning for Ione Skye. They were just felt like honored that she would do the role in like such a small film for them. But yeah, it blew me away. So I'm going to do this because I promised my better half I'd do this. WrestleMania happens this weekend, this Sunday. So I have a list. There are 15 WrestleMania matches. And I thought, hopefully you guys know a little bit about this. I don't know a lot about this one. But I'm going to give my predictions for this. And I want yours. Actually, I do want yours right here live. So we'll see if we're right. We'll see after Sunday, when I'm on here Monday, we'll see how much we can get. Say Anything was probably Say Anything and Guess Food Lodging, and there's another movie that actually mentioned that she was like, well, that was big with her. Now, 13th Wolfman, do you watch WrestleMania? Okay. Here we go. We'll go with the first one. We're going to go down through them, and I want your guys' opinion. So, first off, there's the Women's Battle Royal. This is the second Women's Battle Royal. I don't know who's in it. I really don't. I think Asuka won last year, maybe. I don't know. But I predict somebody. Dusty Rhodes of the Rock and Roll Express. I love Dusty Rhodes, man. I miss him. Oscar for that? Okay, we'll go with Oscar. I have no idea. I don't know who's in the women's. I'm going to go. Who's that cute blonde? Alexa Bliss. I'm going with Alexa Bliss. Why not? Sure. Fine. I don't know if she's in it, but let's go with that. There's the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle. I haven't watched since the 80s. Oh, the 90s was a really good time, especially the Attitude Era. Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan is gorgeous. And you know how I know Liv Morgan? Oh, she's always, this is how I know Liv Morgan. There's a game called WWE like Super Card or Wrestle Card, something like that. It's like one of those card games. I play that, and Liv Morgan is the card that I have that has the highest stats now because. So she's probably not going to be in. Well, we'll go with Liv then. We'll go with that choice there. Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. The last time I watched this, I think it was Baron Corbin who won. I was really surprised. Have never been really overly impressed with Baron Corbin from what I've seen of him. But from what I saw, he used to have like long stringy hair, and apparently he shaved his head, and he was like a general manager or something for a while. This is Strowman. Strowman's in the battle. Oh, if Braun Strowman is in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, yeah, I'll go with Strowman. Though I don't think of like Strowman as a jobber though. My God, has Strowman fallen that far in the lexicon of the WWE like wrestlers? So I had actually just typed this off. I really haven't looked at who they are. What? Okay, I'll get to that part. That I didn't know about, David. Seriously. Jeff Hardy for Battle Royale. Okay. Cruiserweight Championship is going to be Buddy Murphy versus Tony Nese. I know Buddy Murphy is. And I do like Buddy Murphy. He's had it for a while, though. But I don't think Tony is the guy to take it off of him. So I'm going to go with Buddy Murphy. Next up is this Angle's goodbye match is going to be against Baron Corbin. I'm guessing that's going to be down here somewhere. SmackDown Tag Team Championships, the Usos, they're still with, okay, versus Ricochet and Aleister Black versus The Bar versus Rusev and Shinsuke Nakamura. Okay, first off, what the hell are they doing that Rusev and Shinsuke are a tag team and are not working on their own? Both of these are fantastic wrestlers. Independent, like wrestlers on their own, not as a tag team. Not there's anything wrong. I love tag teams though. Usos just resigned. Yeah, actually, that I do know. Ricochet and Aleister Black are really strong wrestlers, really great on the independent scene. They were back when I used to watch. I I didn't know they were a team. I don't follow as much. I do apologize. I'm doing my best here. Ricochet is a guy that really impresses me. But Ricochet is a guy that oh, the Usos are fantastic. I just think that they've done everything they can there. I was actually hoping that Usos wouldn't resign and would go to AEW, because AEW is more focused on tag team wrestling than and actually trying to do something with wrestling other than the same old tired stuff over and over again, which WWE, unfortunately, right now tends to be doing, sadly. I'm going to go with Ricochet and Aleister Black, actually. Now that they got the Usos locked in and signed, they can change it at the last minute if they want to. And the Usos are great, but I do think Ricochet and Aleister Black deserve it. I do, however, think that Ricochet and Aleister Black should be people that are doing singles feuds, not as a tag team wrestler. It's like they're gotten lazy. Hardys versus the Usos. That would be a good match, actually. Winner takes on. So we got next up. Oh, here we go. Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin. Oh yeah, farewell match. So okay, I do again. I haven't watched wrestling in a while. So Kurt Angle is retiring, and one of the greatest wrestlers that ever walked into the ring. His last match for WWE. Please tell me he's going to AEW. Is with Baron Corbin. That's very generous of Kurt Angle. Maybe he sees something in Baron Corbin that we don't, or maybe it's a good payday. I don't know. For a guy like Kurt Angle, I think it should be a bigger person to go out on. I know that they want to put over the next generation and all that, but I'm not sure if anybody. I'm older. If anybody remembers the early '90s era of WWE, when they were doing the New Generation. Remember the New Generation? Do you remember how well the New Generation went over in WWE? It went over as well as New Coke. I don't know about Cena. Cena's done so many. Kurt Angle is one of those, like... see, a lot of the people that I want to see him with are past, unfortunately. But because in a perfect world, man, he'd be doing this with Mr. Perfect. I did not mean that as as a pun or anything like that, but you know what I mean, right? Next up is Miz versus Shane McMahon. Apparently, they were a team for a while. I looked this up, and then Shane McMahon was like bad guy, of course. Now they're going to do a Falls Count Anywhere match. Shane, yeah. Well, for the last one, I'm going with Kurt Angle. Sorry, I didn't mention that one. And actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to go with Baron Corbin, because we know that Baron Corbin is going to win over Kurt Angle, and it's going to be the last big hurrah for that. And we're going to see Kurt Angle kind of like. So if Shane McMahon is fighting The Miz, there's hope for me in the wrestling world in the near future, because I am a mere 48 as compared to Shane's 50. How much? All right, and next up is the Women's Tag Team Championship, Sasha Banks and Bayley. Okay, that's a good tag team. Beth Phoenix is back. Okay, Beth Phoenix and Natalya. I like them. Nia Jax and Tamina Snuka. And the Iconics. I'm gonna hope, like, wrestling wise, Beth Phoenix and Natalya are probably the strongest when it comes to that. But the Iconics are really good. So I will go with the Iconics. I do have a bad feeling, a really bad feeling, that WWE might go with Nia Jax, and Tamina Snuka. And I'm not going to lie, I'm actually not big fans of either of those wrestlers, either together or singular. They started to do this like kind of cool like bully storyline between her and Alexa Bliss, Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss, and then they made Nia Jax the one that was getting bullied into the bad guy, and I was utterly baffled by that. That was a strange one. Uh, if the best team is to win, uh, Beth Phoenix and Natalia, for sure. So I'm guessing more than likely Nia Jax and Tamina Snuka don't really have a lot to do. They're kind of like they've done their monster heel part. Tamina is known for some of her botches, but hopefully she's gotten better along the way. Her obviously her father was a legendary wrestler, and we all know what happened there. Feel sorry for her with that. United States Championship, Samoa Joe, yes, versus Rey Mysterio. Okay, so this is the match I'm going to want to watch. I love Samoa Joe. I like the work of Rey Mysterio. I'm assuming it's similar to when I used to watch it before. I'm going to go with, although Sim Snuka, he was in wrestling before, wasn't he? Didn't he have another name? Like in yeah, that's what I was actually trying to mention there, David, on like, kind of go about. I feel sorry for her. That obviously that's like, that had been hard. That had been hard on her. And you got to wonder if like some of the mistakes made is that all this stuff is going on in the background in her life as well, and it's hard to get your head wrapped around in there. He was in Legacy with Orton and DiBiase. Didn't he have another name though? Before I didn't watch any. I watched Raw or SmackDown in months. It's probably pretty obvious from like my comments here. I'm I'm not gonna lie. I am trying to get back and watch it a little bit more because we did like to watch the pay-per-views together. Me and my better half up there. She'd watch that. It was kind of fun. We started back today when we first, even before we dated, we actually used to hang out and we watched like Impact Wrestling, TNA when TNA was a thing. Is it really that bad? I did see something on, I'm not sure it was on Instagram or Facebook or something, that shows two of them, like an announcement that they've been let go, like the police have let them go or something like that. And I thought that was hilarious. Oh yay! So I'm gonna go with Rey Mysterio. Because I'm a fan of them both, but I'm gonna go with Rey Mysterio because I really don't think that's. I can't lie. The WWE is not the best place for Samoa Joe, in my opinion. Samoa Joe has shined in TNA and ROH. He's been the guy up there with AJ Styles, who I'm assuming has a belt of some kind at this point. Only one thing AJ Styles has done that's really disappointed me, and that's been pretty much this. He's saying, "Well, no, those flat earthers have a point." But Samoa Joe's never impressed you, man. Seriously, watch some of the TNA stuff with Samoa Joe, and maybe some of the ROH stuff as well, like the AJ Styles Samoa Joe run that they did in ROH. They did some really good stuff. Samoa Joe is actually he's a big guy, and the stuff that he can do for his size has always amazed me. See, if I was around your area, I would come up 13th Wolfman. I would show you some best of Samoa Joe stuff. He's actually really good. Though there's also some really hilarious bad Samoa Joe stuff. There's a time, because I watched TNA. That was like what I used to watch for a long time. Where Samoa Joe decided to become really like cool and really tribal. So he got a tribal tattoo drawn onto his face, right? So it literally, it looks like somebody drew what on his face. I would love to meet. I don't think I've ever met any wrestler, Angle and Sting, I love the meet. You remember this? And so he had this drawn in his face. He was going around. It was hilarious. And then one day he went outside, and ninjas came and took him. I'm not joking. Ninjas came and took him and put him in a van. If you want to know the conclusion to that ninja storyline, he just came back after a while. They never followed up. This is one of the many things that TNA did wrong because they hired Vince freaking Russo. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Samoa Joe versus Kurt Angle. Amazing stuff. Hey, Scudder. Yeah, he wasn't in the main event, Mafia. He did like the basically that's where they did the ladder match, and that's when he joined. Actually, both him and I think it was Kurt Angle were going up the ladder, and he kind of gives it the Kurt Angle type thing. Bro, okay, bro. Intercontinental Championship is between Bobby Lashley. Okay. I'm not a huge fan. And Finn Balor, I love Finn Balor. Hopefully it's as Finn Balor. I've never been a fan of the Demon character Finn Balor, and I know a lot of people like the Demon Finn Balor. I like Finn Balor. I think he's cool on his own. I don't think he needs the gimmick, but I know this went on for a while before this. But I like he's Demon Balor. Oh joy. Do you think Demon Balor's a way to kind of like have like a sort of Undertaker type of guy? I know there was a guy in TNA, and he's gone from there now. See, I'm going to ask you this question because I don't know. I haven't seen much of Bobby. Is his wife like kind of his mouthpiece in this one? Because if Bobby Lashley's wife is his mouthpiece, he should be up way higher than he is right here. Because it's when his wife in TNA became his mouthpiece, because Bobby Lashley can't talk. He can't. He just can't. He's not a good talker. Hey, Ryan, welcome, dude. An NXT guy. All right. Enough said. Okay, for that one, I'm going to go with Finn Balor. Especially if they announce the Demon Finn Balor, then it's going to be one of those like kind of those psycho things. It's a shame. She was really good in TNA. She actually she really elevated his game, in my opinion, anyway. Obviously, when he gets in the ring, he's got to do it himself, and he's come a long way from Botchamania, which Bobby Lashley was when he originally started out in WWE. When he got to TNA, he improved tremendously. Next up is Triple H versus Batista. And as somebody mentioned here, it is a no holds barred match. I'm going to guess they're going to give this one to Batista, so that he'll come back, type of thing. With Guardians of the Galaxy 3 going to be coming out later on, and all the movies he's doing, and Endgame and all that type of stuff. It would be really, really bad for Trips to go over. But then again, Triple H went over Sting. Who do I think was the worst at cutting promos? Good question. Actually, let's do that. Who is the worst at promos of all time? I want Batista to win, but I don't trust Trips. All of DXs are being inducted this year. I hope this means like DX is in like all of DXs and the guys that I like. I don't think Brooke T's the worst promo guy, because after all, he did get the, whether you like a lot of Booker T's promos or not, you'll always remember that Booker T is the five-time world champion. You'll remember that. You'll always remember that. Who was the worst promo guy? One of the weirdest promo guys, of course, is Jimmy Snuka. And following that up is the Ultimate Warrior, of course. But those are just like, they're beyond. They're not bad. They're just really, really strange. Roman, I think, can be good on promos at sometimes. Not very often, but I do think Roman's, this should have got over, but it didn't. I'm not the good guy. I'm not the bad guy. I'm just the guy. That's cool. That's a nice thing. And in another time, in another era, if Roman wasn't being pushed in everybody's throat, that would have got over. But it didn't. But who is the worst promo of all time? Yeah, that's true. Think of like the Heenan family. Most of the people on that were people that didn't get over like promos. So, like the Hercules Hernandez people, and maybe guys like like Canadian Lesnar. Yeah, definitely. I'm tired. I don't know if anybody else, but I'm so tired of Lesnar. So tired of Lesnar. He's not still champion, is he? Please don't him still be champion. Because I'm not a fan, guys. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Batista. Because I guess you're right. Triple H cannot be. Oh my God, no. AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. There's no title here, so he's still the champ. AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. Please let it be AJ Styles. Please. Is it going to be AJ Styles, guys? You guys watch him on a regular basis, and I do. So this I look forward to. Oh, it's perfect. Rich just as well. So I'm a fan of AJ Styles. I'm a fan of Randy Orton. I love the music, that song. The I hear voices in my head. That one. I'm not gonna. Yeah, and he's so boring in it. Like there's. Lesnar is so boring in the ring. His matches are so bad. Orton is great as a heel. It's just Orton has the problems of like getting feel of. I find that Orton has like can be his own worst enemy, like in real life. Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. I'm a big fan of Drew McIntyre actually. I'll go with AJ 13 movement. That way we can talk about it afterwards. He was right. Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. I'm guessing Roman Reigns just recently came back because he was really, really sick. So I'm guessing they're going to give a feel good win to Roman Reigns for this as well. I am a big fan of Drew McIntyre. I think he has a great look and a great great move set. I think he can be a big name. But and I hope they do put some like, I'm not sure if they are, but if they're putting any push beyond Drew McIntyre, they should. He's actually when they're looking for guys in the future, big guys. Definitely got to stay healthy core for that. For Roman, because Roman's like, he's in remission, which is good. This is the second time in remission. Hopefully, this is it. He's kicked it. He's kicked its ass. Hopefully, I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't come back and do something like a guy named Joe, or that type of like gimmick. But I guess they kind of just went back, just brought him back type of thing. Because when he went out, that's when he left the company. That's what he said. I'm not here as Roman Reigns. I'm just here as a guy named Joe, and. Oh, that was, I thought he was dead, man, Rich, when that happened. That was really painful to watch. Daniel Bryan, yes, versus Kofi Kingston. One, yes. Okay, I'm a long time Kofi Kingston fan. Yeah, I would assume Brian's the heel. Thanks, though. Yeah, because Kofi's no way Kofi's gonna. No, I don't think they're gonna let him beat him stacks. I think it's gonna be Roman's like night for that. Kofi Kingston, I'm a huge Kofi Kingston fan. I never thought I'd see this on a WrestleMania. Please, like I know. He's huge now. Wow. No, I didn't know. But I, is he getting the same type of like momentum that Brian had? Remember the Yes movement, that type of thing? You know, when Brian was getting like, is it kind of like a twist on that? I really got to watch more often. I do apologize, guys. But Kofi Kingston, I do watch some of those wrestling things, but I usually kind of like, I'm doing something else at the time, those videos like Cultaholic or What Culture type of things or Wrestle Talk. But a lot of times I got it on in the background. I'm doing stuff while I'm doing, well, what's going on? It's the biggest reception of the night on SmackDown. Okay, Daniel Bryan's probably going to win it, and they're probably going to bury Kofi a bit. But I would love to see a feel-good moment where Kofi Kingston gets what he rightfully deserves. If you watch any Royal Rumble at all in the last few years since John Morrison left the WWE, because remember John Morrison? He went on and did like, yeah, I think he's in Impact now, Johnny Impact, right? I've never seen him in Impact, but I know he's there. I gotta watch him in Impact. It might be good. Will 100% win? I don't know. They like WWE. One, they're either going to do the go full out and give us because you got to remember, guys, if this is booked in this order, okay? If it's booked in this order, and you get Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre, and Roman Reigns wins, and you got that feel good Roman Reigns moment, and he's come back. He did his. Did you really? Was he nice? Please tell me he was nice, because I'm a huge John Morrison fan. It does, like, I did read somewhere, or saw somewhere, that Kofi Kingston wasn't originally supposed to be in this, right? Like, not in this here, but like, as in like a match before. Wasn't Mustafa Ali, like, or he got injured, and like Kofi Kingston was kind of the replacement for Mustafa Ali. So if Kofi wins, I'm gonna assume what we're gonna get down the road is maybe a Daniel Bryan, Kofi Kingston, Mustafa Ali like match. If Kofi does not win this at WrestleMania, Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston, if they do give us the kind of the feel-good Roman Reigns match, and they won't give us another feel-good match right after that, because think about that, they may not do that, guys, then what we could get here is a run-in by Ali screwing Kofi Kingston from getting the championship from Daniel Bryan, and following it up with maybe either a rematch or a three-way or a possible Kofi Kingston versus Mustafa Ali program down the road. I got to talk with Sir at midnight. He's actually, obviously I watch his channel a lot, and also like watch the website too. If you go on my last video, actually afterwards, there was like an article about Abominable, the MVD rewind that came out, and that I'd read, and I couldn't remember where I had seen it at. And anyway, it was from Cyril at Midnight, and he actually responded and gave me the link to it. So I actually put it in the in there. So if you want to read that article, it's actually really good. It's about physical media. So, a New Day heel turn. I think I keep expecting the New Day to break up. I know they're amazing when it comes to like selling like product and stuff. But I always expect like one of them to like turn. I always expect it to be Big E. For some reason, I always expect like one of these days Big E is going to just turn and like clothesline the hell out of them, type of thing. Kind of like the Seth Rollins Shield type of thing. Except Big E doesn't need a chair, man. He can just do it himself. So I'm going to buck the trend here. I'm going to go with Daniel Bryan winning with interference from Mustafa Ali. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope it's Kofi Kingston, because I'm a huge Kofi Kingston fan. I'm a huge Daniel Bryan fan too. But I just think Kofi Kingston hasn't had that time yet, and he gets the chance to shine here on WrestleMania. This will be a really good feel-good moment. Kind of like the feel-good moment when I was Eddie Guerrero and Chris. Oh, yeah. That was, at the time, was a feel-good moment. The Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit thing back in the day, before all this happened, it was a huge feel-good moment. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, Universal Championship, Brock Lesnar, champion, versus Seth Rollins. I'm going to say Seth Rollins. I hope to God that this is not another match where you get out there and Brock Lesnar superplexes or whatever, or the German suplexes the crap out of Rollins over and over and over again, and it ends with him beating him up and doing his thing. This will be the first time, David. WWE are infamous for taking somebody. Look at what they've done with people like before that were getting huge pushes. Hopefully, this is Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins deserves it. Seth Rollins works hard. They haven't. That's the thing. They're giving him so much money, and they think he gives a legitimacy to it. But at this point, he's really costing a lot of, in my opinion, a lot of viewership. The streak thing really got me. That bothered me. Brock, and the thing is, Brock is a name anyway. You don't need a champion on Brock. Champion. If they want to get like casuals in to watch Brock Lesnar, because he's in the UFC as well, right? It can just bring him in without the belt. He doesn't need a belt. He can come in and he can fight who he wants, but put the belt on somebody that's going to be there on a day-by-day basis. On a Seth Rollins guy, on a Roman Reigns, on a Dean Ambrose. Why is there no Dean Ambrose here? You watching wrestling since the 80s? Okay. Is that gonna be awkward for his girlfriend, wife, whatever she is? Because isn't she in like WWE? Because Ambrose is married to or is dating the girl, like, what's her name? Please, yes, please be a big signing for AEW. Renee Young, thank you, Rich. Yeah, because she's on the announce team, right? She's the first female on the announce team. That's his wife, right? Yeah, thanks. When I knew it was they were like either together, some other married. So hopefully I hope he goes to AEW. I hope that's not going to affect him going to another company. Dean Ambrose, of course, is well, not of course, but Dean Ambrose is one of those guys that I really, really like. I've always been a huge Ambrose fan, and I feel that he's been really misused in the WWE the entire time he was there. He's way too savvy at working himself that and the W doesn't they just don't pick up on him. He's beyond. I think you're right, Rich. I do think, unfortunately, he'll come back. Or are you sure it's not a work? It's not a storyline or something like that? Like he's actually gone? Like, do we know it's not like a story thing because where his wife's still there? Maybe it's a story. See, I understand if he's gone. I completely understand if he's gone because I think he should be. I do think AEW, which I want to talk about in a minute. The older, you think keeping him off gives that old style kind of 80s feel to the matches, like in a Hulk Hogan where you wouldn't see him for a while. I get it, but I don't think it works. Not anymore. Back in the day, it worked, but I think it works. I think Stacks is right in what the WWE's thinking process is, like as in Vince McMahon's thinking process, thinking that this is going to be a big thing. But I don't think. I think that they're blinded by what used to work and what works now in a modern era. This is like a snap, show me more, right now type of era. But yeah, Seth Rollins for sure. Dean Ambrose, I'm really, I'm not. I can't be saying I'm shocked. They didn't use him right. But Guys, I'm not going to lie. I'm a huge fan of the Attitude Era, and ruthless aggression, that type of stuff. So the whole PG era of WWE hasn't been like really been like a big fit, been a great fit for me. Now the last match here. Oh yes, a women's match of this I did know that there was a women's match was going to be the final match, right? So Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch. Now I'm a huge fan of these three right here. Charlotte Flair for me is a workhorse of a wrestler, and when I watch a lot of her matches, they tend to be the best matches that I see on that pay-per-view. Becky Lynch is one of those that's been coming up for a while. I know that, and I've heard, although I haven't seen much of it, I heard that Becky is like really, yes, Becky is kind of like really over right now. So that I was aware of. I did hear about that. They call her the man, all right? She is the man. I'm a huge fan of all three of those. I'm guessing Ronda Rousey's now probably doesn't get as much cred now as she used to when she first came in. Like, she was a big deal when she first came into it. Although they brought her into it in a really bad way. Like, Asuka won the first women's Royal Rumble, and then Ronda Rousey walks out and totally kills Asuka's buzz, right? I do like Ronda. I do. I mean, I'm a fan of. I had the crush on Ronda back in the day. But for me, Becky's great, but yeah, I'm a Charlotte Flair fan. I've always been a Charlotte Flair fan. If she's not a heel, which I'm guessing she's a heel in this one, right? Because every time they turn Charlotte as into a face, it doesn't work. She's not a face. Much like Ric Flair, she shouldn't be a face character. She should always be a heel character. And this should be the Four Horsewomen, which was the thing, right? That was the thing. I remember that being a thing. That should still be going on, and Charlotte should be holding that title and having people making sure that she doesn't lose that title. I remember I'm older guy. I remember the Ric Flair days of that. How many times they're gonna keep doing the arrested angle, dude? David, don't expect that to end anytime in the near future, because they kind of fall back on that a lot. And the cops are always the stupidest cops, doing the dumbest things that you can possibly imagine. They'll get they'll get thrown around. They'll come in and be completely ineffective. They'll put them in cars, and then it's never very good. I mean, I think the best one for doing that type of stuff was Stone Cold. Stone Cold really did that. Becky, Sasha. Okay, thanks. Becky, Charlotte, Sasha, and Bayley. See, that's fantastic. That is an awesome lineup. I'm guessing they don't use them very much as the Four Horsewomen, do they? Which is a shame, because one, that's a great lineup for the Four Horsewomen. The only way this could get better, and I think she's in Impact Wrestling, but God, what's her name? Anybody here watch Impact? Thank you. 13 Woodman knew right away. I didn't have to mention anything. Tessa Blanchard. Tessa Blanchard, she's awesome. I'm a big fan of Tessa Blanchard. And I think that if they're going to use her right, and they're going to put her in a kind of a Four Horsewomen type of thing, that's you. If you're going to start putting women, the women wrestlers in the main event, which it's about time, because right now, when I watch pay-per-views in the last little while, right, I find that 9 times out of 10, the women's match is usually one of the better matches on that pay-per-view. It's a huge difference. I mean, back in the whole diva era type of thing, you'd watch a women's match and be okay, it's a bra and panty match or something like that, and even if the women could wrestle, they didn't do much actual wrestling, and it was okay, I'm going to go to the washroom. The women's match is on. Now the women's match has become one of those like don't miss type of matches, especially with guys like with people like Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch, and I like Alexa Bliss too. I think she's actually underrated. But Tessa Blanchard, she's in WoW too. I didn't know that. Tessa Blanchard, if you guys haven't seen her, like check her out on don't leave now, but check her out on YouTube sometime. She's actually really good, and I think she would benefit like in a women's era, because it is a women's era right now that they're going through. Yeah, Jackie and Ivory, and it's such a shame because Jackie and Ivory were so good. Molly Holly was a really good wrestler too, and none of them got to do any of the stuff that they should have been allowed to do. Right? Is he really? So, no John Cena. So that I'm guessing. Oh, Impact's the last thing I saw. Impact has great wrestlers stacks, but it is in a very, very bad spot right now. Very bad. Joan Jett. Dude, I'm so there for that. I'm a huge Joan Jett fan. A huge, huge Joan Jett fan. But I think I went through them all, right? NXT TakeOver here has the War Raiders versus... Is this right? Aleister Black and Ricochet? Aren't they in WrestleMania? What are they doing on NXT TakeOver? This can't be right. Pete Dunne versus Walter. Okay. Velveteen Dream versus Matt Riddle. It's going to be Matt Riddle because Velveteen's going to be coming up anytime soon. I know if they're smart, they're going to take Velveteen and bring him up. Shayna Baszler versus Io Shirai, somebody, versus Bianca Belair versus Kairi Sane. Okay, I know who Kairi Sane is. She rocks. Yeah, I'm surprised. A lot of times you see the NXT card being like one that you... the UK champ. You're right, that is Pete Dunne. I don't know. I haven't seen much Pete Dunne recently. But it's been a while since I watched. But I know he's a great wrestler. So I think there'll be good matches in the NXT TakeOver thing. That's tomorrow, right? I think that's tomorrow. Because that's going to be like just a small, like a 2-hour pay-per-view. But because there's only like 5 matches, so maybe it's an hour and a half. I'm not sure. Hey, Andy. Saturday. Okay. So it'll be the day before WrestleMania. It is going well. We talked about Scream Factory and the indicator releases. We did a heck of a lot of talk about wrestling. So apparently, who is in? So you guys said that DX is going into the Hall of Fame, right? Who else we got going to the Hall of Fame this year? Does anybody know? Cena may replace Corbin against Angle. I would like that, actually. Not that I mind Corbin. Corbin, no, sure, he's a good enough wrestler. I just really never got into him. Beefcake? Really? So I'm guessing Hogan's going to be there then, right? Because Hogan's got to be the person that like inducts Brutus Barber Beefcake. He's definitely not inducting the Hart Foundation. Unfortunately, Neidhart is no longer with us. So is it the complete Hart Foundation? Tor Husson. Okay, yeah, I can get to it. Although she's more of a WCW gal. But when they say the Hart Foundation, do they mean just the original first 2, or do they mean the complete Hart Foundation? Because originally the Hart Foundation was 2 people, which was Jim the Anvil Neidhart and of course Bret the Hitman Hart, and of course later on in the 90s, there was also the other guys as well. Anvil and Brett, okay. Because, there was like, Owen, Owen Hart, the Black Heart. And, of course, there was Davey Boy Smith. And also at the end of it, wasn't there, he's passed away too now, one of my favorite wrestlers, actually. Oh, why is his name? Oh, he did such a good job playing crazy. 30 Wolfman, you got to get this. Who am I talking about? The other member of the Hart Foundation, he passed away really young. Brian Pillman, flying Brian Pillman. He was with the Hart Foundation for a short time. Thanks, Dax. Harlem Heat. So, dude, do Stevie Ray and Harlem and Booker T get along? Because I'd heard, like, back in the WCW days that one of the reasons that they kind of split was that they weren't kind of getting along at the time. I'm not sure. You know, that was just like Bad Blood '97. Pillman's like, I almost hate like liking a wrestler a lot because a lot of the ones that I liked are unfortunately passed away now. I was a huge fan of Brian Pillman. I was a big honky tonk man. So honky tonk man is one of those really kind of. He was in my area actually, and it was like a small event type thing. I'm glad to hear that because I'd heard before that they didn't for a while that they clashed. So hopefully, you know, hey Drax, how's it going, man? I'll watch that. It's got to be better than the last time I watched the Hall of Fame was the Ultimate Warrior one, and I'm not sure if you guys watched that, but if you never saw the Mr. T one, yeah, only Brett's left. Wow. Oh. That goes to talk about which has been in the John Oliver thing. Do you guys watch Last Week Tonight? I'm a huge fan of that show. So the John Oliver and everybody, I guess, that watches wrestling or don't watch wrestling, either way, you're on the internet, you probably heard about the whole John Oliver Last Week Tonight thing. And pretty much, yeah, they planned Dave to do like a whole show with him. Did you like the new Suspiria? I watched a little bit of it. I was like, this is okay. I'm not quite sure. I got to be in the right mindset for it, I guess. But it didn't grab me in the way that like Argento Suspiria automatically grabbed me. He's right. I will completely. I'll be honest with you. I completely agree with John Oliver in the way that they treat them. Oh, did you get to see John Oliver in person? The thing is that they try to say they're independent contractors, so they don't have to pay for health insurance or anything like that. That's really what they're trying to get around. But these guys are killing their bodies and they're dying at a age when they should not be dying. WWE has come with their health and wellness thing. They've come a little ways, but honestly, there's a long ways to go. The wrestlers deserve to be able to go to a doctor. This is like a multi-billion-dollar company at this point. Either give an off season, you've got enough wrestlers that have so many in and so many out at a time, type of thing. But you got to give something when it comes to like people like Jake the Snake Roberts should not be having to go and do an Indiegogo style campaign to get an operation done. Hogan can barely walk. That's the thing, third woman, and it's so killer. Hogan can barely walk, and here's a guy that is definitely not the most taxing wrestler when it comes to the stuff that he did. And it breaks my heart because these were my idols growing up. These were like literally Titan Tower. These were the Titans. These were our real life superheroes. Yeah, exactly. There's no such thing as an independent contractor if you're exclusively signed to somebody. He could, but it's going to really kill his hip, man. He shouldn't have to, though. They should be better taken care of than they're taken care of. Guys like Test, who died at a really young age. Draws, who was paralyzed after a fall in the ring, an accidental fall in the ring. Piper's gone. Piper's 61 when he passed away. He was right. He didn't live. Andre the Fabulous Freebirds. Kamala. Wow. And you gotta think that those flying headbutts, all those flying headbutts that Chris Benoit did, had to have an effect on what happened, what ended up happening with him. That had to have an effect. Can you imagine? You're going out. It's like 300 nights, and it's like time and time again. Beyond the Mat, actually, it was a pretty good documentary. Did you see Wrestling with Shadows? Ole Anderson. You know what? It's sad to say, but when you say Ole Anderson, as much stuff as he's done, I will always remember this. And Ole Anderson was the infamous voice of, I'm going to say this, the Shocker. Every time someone mentions Ole now, that's what I think about. They're not allowed to do the headshots like the headshots with the chair anymore, right? Certain moves, I guess they can't do anymore. The Black Scorpion too. I remember the Shocker. I remember the Black Scorpion. It was a horrible storyline. It was a way to get at the end of the day, it was like it got back. I think it was Ric Flair. Like, everybody thought the Black Scorpion was going to be the Ultimate Warrior. And so people were like, he's going to shock the world. If you want to put a smile on your face and you're having a crappy day, go watch the Shockmaster thing. It's hilarious. It's so good, and it's so cool to see the wrestlers in the background that are there and trying not to crack up. Because as soon as the poor guy goes through the thing and trips up and his glitter stormtrooper mask. Yes, Shockmaster, unfortunately, he's passed away, but he should have definitely been in the Hall of Fame. I'm a huge WCW fan. I grew up in a time when wrestling. When my grandfather, I grew up with my grandparents. My grandfather was a huge wrestling fan. I would go to my cousins in the summertime, and my uncle, also a huge wrestling fan. So we watched everything. I watched WCW. I watched UWF. Not sure who remembers UWF or not, but I used to watch UWF as well. And I watched, of course, Glow, the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. Way before there was a TV show, like a new TV show. And God, what was that? What else was there? I watched the NWA stuff. WCW was, for me, was definitely was the last real wrestling promotion. Like Vince himself will say, he does wrestling. We do sports entertainment. And USAW, I used to watch USAW. UWF though, it had like a definite strong place in my heart. Glow as well. It's gonna be polarizing, Drax. But I used to like Rick Martel, and he was kind of big. He became bigger in UWF. He did the model kind of gimmick in WWF back in the day, if you remember that. There's Rick the Model Martel, and he had this thing called Arrogance, which was his perfume, whatever you want to call it, and he would spray it in people's face. Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Cornette is an interesting fellow to listen to talk. Bruce Pritchard. I'm not sure if you guys listen to any wrestling podcasts as well. There's one that Bruce Pritchard does, and nobody can mimic voices as good as Bruce Pritchard. He's just so good. See, I was big into wrestling around the time when the internet kind of became a thing, And the first thing that I actually used to use the internet for, and it wasn't films actually. I used to actually like get wrestling tapes from like Japan and stuff like that, and like different and like indie wrestling tapes. I was a huge fan of like guys like Chris Jericho, and he was like the Lionheart. So I like people would I get like I tape stuff and like trade tapes and I'd buy tapes and stuff like that back in the day. So I actually do have like a big like history with wrestling fandom, and I just kind of got out of it after over the years, but I do still like to watch the pay-per-views, and I'm actually very excited about seeing where AEW goes. And I guess I should mention that next, right? So AEW made a huge announcement this week. And if you don't know what AEW is, that's All Elite Wrestling. It was started by the Khans, and the head behind it is of course one of the heads behind WCW, his dad was, and that is Cody Rhodes. Oh, I used to have a tape full of the Thrill Seeker stuff. That was great. I loved him and Lance Storm together. So Cody Rhodes, who never got a shot in WWE. He didn't. Like he did the thing with Cody Rhodes with the mustache, and the Cody Rhodes, the Stardust thing, which he didn't really want to do, but he did it for WWE anyway. He had an idea with his character. They didn't let him do it, so he said, "Okay, I'm going to leave." They said, "Okay, leave, because you'll never be a big star here." And I want to get back to your comment there, David, about JR. Is that he got to the point where basically he said, I'm going to go elsewhere. And much like some other people, he went to Japan and he did what he said he was going to do. He made himself famous. Probably aside from back in the day with NWO, if you're like a fan of wrestling, like all wrestling, not just WWE or WCW, then you're probably going to know the name the Bullet Club. And so many people like came out of the Bullet Club and became so big. Guys like Cody Rhodes and Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, another great wrestler there. I don't think it's the fact that it's too fast or anything like that, David. I think that it's a combination of a couple of things. Well, one thing is the sad, unfortunate fact that he had lost his spouse of many, many years, and that definitely took a toll on him for a while. The other thing that I think was really hear that? That really stood out was that when he was brought back into the WWE to do and he did like some announcing, like on the Mae Young Classic or something like that. Let's be honest, what he was given to do wasn't very good. And he was put with Lita, who was not exactly the best choice for an announcer. I love Lita as a wrestler, but I think that the fact that he's going into a new company and the passion behind it, and the thing is, not only him, you've got to think that he's not only great as an announcer, and he can be great as an announcer, and I don't think that he'll be the anchor. Like there's other announcers there, as well as they showed them on the latest episode, actually, because I do follow AW more than I follow any of the other stuff right now. Is that one of the best men ever, one of the best, no, probably the best talent relation guys in the history of wrestling. The best talent acquisition guy is Jim Ross. In WCW, in WWE, he was amazing in the behind the scenes stuff, the stuff that we take for granted. Getting guys in there, getting guys like Stone Cold in, getting guys like Steve Dr. Death Williams and stuff like that. But he hit the ceiling, though, 13th Movement. That's the thing. He'd hit that ceiling. And he was literally told, this is where you're going to get. Like, this is where we see you. And much like Stone Cold was told, we don't see you being the big star. You're going to be you'll get some tag team gold. You'll maybe get a U.S. championship. But we don't see you headlining. We don't see you headlining. They didn't see Cody headlining. Cody went out and made himself a headliner. WWE didn't do it. Reputation didn't do it. Hard work did it. He went to Japan, and I think people think the Bullet Club like the NWO, and it's similar, very similar to the NWO. People coming in, coming out. I do think that I like the Bullet Club like as a long-term thing a little bit better. They do bring people in and out. Yeah, the classic glass ceiling, unfortunately. The Bullet Club, unfortunately, is something that you're never going to hear in the WWE. They're not going to use the word Bullet Club for one, and they're definitely not going to have them doing that on the screen. Back in the day, 13th Wolfman, the IC title was the title. Let's be honest, when we watched the matches back then, back in the 80s, when we used to watch wrestling, you didn't watch for the main event. You never watched for the main event. That was usually Hulk Hogan and some guy like that, some big guy that wasn't very good. Let's be totally honest. If you're watching wrestling, you're like the big car, and you're watching for the wrestling part of it, then the IC title was the match you'd be watching for. That's when you get to see the really good matches. Now, over the year, the luster on the IC title, unfortunately, has really gone off. I think at a point the IC title was gone, wasn't it? It was like actually out of the mix altogether, and they brought it back. But yeah, that's the sad part about that. But wow, we did a lot of wrestling talk today. I'm really surprised and actually super excited because first one by Pat Patterson, South America's ever seen. Oh, you really know your stuff, David. I'm a old school. I remember the Pat Patterson days. Sadly, a lot of people are going to remember Patterson and Briscoe as the Stooges. Yeah, I got a feeling those Y2J versus Benoit matches are probably not going to be shown on TV very much, unfortunately. But I do understand the WWE stance on stuff like that. That's like you just can't at that point, right? It's kind of like if Fox was like to start re-showing episodes of Studs again, and there's a Ron Goldman episode. It's going to be kind of tasteless to show it. They just got to give him the bell. I love when they do stuff like that. There's such a great storied history behind wrestling, professional wrestling, and there's so many great like documentaries and stories and books and that you can read. It's a fascinating industry, and the things that go on in it never makes no sense anywhere else except in the context of professional wrestling. If you were to tell these stories just anywhere else, in any other profession or any other way, it's a bunch of WTFs is what you'd get. You would get that's because nowhere else would that be a thing. I know. When I lived in my hometown of Corner Brook, me and my dad would go to every wrestling event. We would go to the bar back when wrestling was big, right? And I remember the Brock Patties match. But and the night that it all happened, I think we're at the bar. You know, I'd ordered some stuff. I got my pitcher of beer, and we get to the Benoit match, and they announce that John Morrison is going to be like taking over for Benoit. And I looked over at my dad and I said, something's wrong, man. Benoit doesn't miss shows. I thought, maybe he's sick, maybe like a death in the family type of thing. I didn't know how it was going to go. Now, later on, we would find out that Benoit was dead, his family was dead, and the next episode of Raw was actually a tribute to Chris Benoit. It was only ever shown once. And people talking about Benoit and like getting upset and stuff like that. Ironically talking about what a good father he was and what a good family man he was. And then after that, and it was definitely not any fault of the WWE to put out that show, because that's what you'd expect. when such a huge wrestler passed away, especially when they did not know. Um, then we found out the truth. And later on, you would find out that his brain was so damaged that he had the brain of like a 90-year-old dementia patient. And it was rough. I was one of my wrestling idols was Chris Benoit. I'm Canadian, and wrestling's huge here. It always has been. We have given the wrestling sport some of the greatest wrestlers of all time, in my opinion. Some of the all-time best wrestlers you're ever going to see step inside that squared circle are Canadian. Like from the Benoits, the Lance Storms, the Chris Jerichos. We gave you some of our best and brightest. And yeah, it's a bummer. Sorry guys, got a little down for a second there. Let's raise the roof. Anyway, that is sadly true. And John Oliver is right. So hopefully there will be some changes. I don't see it happening overnight, but I do like the fact that AEW said that they're going to be working with that stuff. It is completely understandable that David isn't going by his name. Like, honestly, you know, you understand things with men, of course. If there was a fantastic politician out there whose name happened to be Hitler Jr., he's probably not going to go by Hitler Jr. Because he's going to be remembered by his dad's. Like, yeah. He doesn't want to be remembered by his dad's legacy. Speaking of people like wrestlers that came and went, does anybody remember Eric Bischoff's son? Like if you watch TNA, because Eric Bischoff's son was a wrestler. Like he started as a referee, and then became a wrestler in this like this group that they had going on for like a year. A really good storyline actually. Garrett Bischoff, thanks. Histler. But yeah, because that was a really good storyline. There was a Sons of Anarchy style like group over in TNA at the time, and you didn't know who the main guy was, and there were like reveals coming out all the time, and it was kind of like an NWO thing, but in my opinion, in a way, it was done kind of better. Aces and Eights, I think it was called, right? Thanks. Yeah. David Flair, unfortunately, has passed away, Stacks. David Flair's no longer with us. I remember David Flair from the WCW days, you know, with Crowbar and Daphne and all that stuff. But, yeah, unfortunately, David Flair is passed on. Aces and Eights should... Oh, Reed Flair passed. Oh. I'm getting them confused. Okay, thanks for doing it, man. I unfortunately made David Flair pass before his time. X-Men is getting rebooted next year. I know, I'm actually excited about that. Just do it right this time. Don't look at any Chuck Austin storylines when they're doing that. when they're rebooting X-Men. Just putting that out there. No Chuck Austin storylines. Reed Flair passed away. David's around? Where is David? Okay, now I am curious, man. Where's David? Because I was a huge fan of David Flair. You can still get X-23. They can reboot it and get X-23. But, insurance salesman. He did a good job for what he had to do. I mean, like, let's be honest. Sure, like, you know, Daphne and Crowbar definitely had to carry him a bit when it came to some of that stuff. Well, kind of. I mean, like, That was actually Russo and Eric Bischoff together. Russo's time in WCW had gotten so bad that they did not trust the storylines that Russo was doing. So they brought Bischoff back in to be kind of a creative consultant, is what they said. And Charlotte is the best wrestler they ever got out of that family. But what was that? So when they brought it back, they decided they were going to kind of start over, right? They were going to do like this whole strip all the belts. They had this whole big thing where all these balloons came down in the ring, and everybody was. They're going to do like a New Bloods versus kind of a Millionaires Club type of thing. Now you would think that these hungry newer wrestlers, that have been kind of held down by the glass ceiling of WCW, quote unquote. I can picture Eric being a nice guy, because I actually do like Eric, and as a person that business is what I went to school for. Eric Bischoff was one of the guys that I looked towards when it came to business. He's a very personable person. But anyway, so they decided to start over type thing. You would think that the New Bloods would be the good guys, and the Millionaire Club, hence Millionaire Club, they'd be the bad guys. But they didn't go that way. See, WCW would still be around if it was for one thing. If it wasn't for one thing. If they could have stayed on TV. If they could have stayed on TV, Bischoff and Bischoff's group would definitely have gotten WCW. They would have gotten the rights to WCW. They would have went with WCW. Even if they lost out, even if WWE had gotten all the rights to WCW and they still had a TV deal, WWE had prepared to have WCW run as a separate entity still on TNT. And we were just going to get like Shane and them to run it. Yeah, the TV deal. Now, it's not like it was today. Like today, actually, Kane is he's still around. He still comes in, but he's like he's a politician too. So he's actually like a mayor or something like that now. Right. See, I don't think it was a guaranteed contract so much. Like people always go towards the guaranteed contracts, but in actuality, what I would say, even Impact us, is that it was the fact that WCW got its momentum, got its motion, got its going forward on going after this kind of a target demographic, like the 18 to 34 range, and it was an edgier show. It was doing everything like Eric Bischoff says this all the time. He looked at everything WWF was doing at the time, and he said, you know what, I'm going to do exactly the opposite of what they're doing, because I can't beat them at what they're doing. They're the best at what they do. Warner acquisition is what killed it. Warner acquisition, Warner acquired like Turner, the Time Warner acquisition, because all of a sudden now it had to be softened. It had to be more family. More people were coming in. People that had nothing to do, knew nothing about wrestling, were coming in, because all of a sudden WCW was popular. It was hip. It was on the cultural zeitgeist, and they're coming and saying, you know what you got to do? You got to bring it down a bit. You can't be so edgy. You can't do that type of stuff. And it did. And you know what I think one of the biggest killers for it was, and I think this was also hurt WWE a lot as well. The second show, Thunder. They did not need Thunder. Thunder should not have happened. Thunder was stretching a creative team and a group of wrestlers way too thin. They did not need that many hours of wrestling. It was killing. It was killing him. It was killing Eric Bischoff. He was out now trying to get everything done with Nitro, and everything's going on behind the scenes there. And all of a sudden, bam! Here's 2 more hours on Saturday night. You know, you can do this, right? No, no. Actually, it was a horrible idea. Thunder was an atrocious idea. And he's right. He's like, they never really had a good finished person. They were rewriting things, and the like literally while shows were going on, they were like rewriting like endings of matches. You shouldn't be doing that. One thing that WWE did, and they did well, was they kind of thought in the long term, in the long run, the long haul. Yeah, you had to stretch it out a lot more with that. The thing is that, Stacks, when it comes to WWE, you're not going to get that because they've got like a WWE went, they went public, they went corporate. So they have a board that they have to answer to. So the days of the Attitude Era style, like that serious stuff, and it's a different political climate now. It's not going to go as well as that. The NWO show and the WCW show. See, that wouldn't have worked either. And I know that's what Eric Bischoff wanted originally. That's what Bischoff wanted originally. But let's remember, sold out. So anytime you're wondering, say, I wonder what it would have been like if NWO would have had a show. I'm going to put you back to NWO sold out, which may be one of the worst pay-per-views. Not as bad as Heroes of Wrestling, mind you. Oh, I will talk about Heroes of Wrestling sometime on this here channel. See, WWE is better, but it's not better from the wrestling. I don't think it's better from the wrestling. They've diversified. They've got the channel. They've got their movies that they do as well. There's their programming that they do. They have like wrestling shows. They're not just showing they're showing like older wrestling shows on their channel as well. So there's a lot of like different like content that WWE has to say, okay, this is good. Like culture, like creatively, WWE seems pretty bereft of ideas. But like when it comes to like the actual wrestling shows, but some of the other stuff isn't too bad. I'm not gonna lie, I get a kick out of the Marine films. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. I find them they're fun little action films. I heard that Impact Against All Odds is really horrible. I haven't seen it yet. I got to see it when it's that bad. You guys know it. If it's a movie, if it's a show, when it gets that bad, when it has that much of a legacy of badness, I got to see it. But no, Sold It was horrible. It was bad booking decision after bad booking decision. It was just they tried to do the black and white thing. They tried to make it super edgy and super cool, and it just did not work. It came off as forced. It came off as badly executed. I do think that they would do these. Oh God, what was it called now? Bischoff would go to the biker area. Sturgis, right? You go to Sturgis. And they do like a pay-per-view there every year because Bischoff's a biker. And I used to love those outdoor pay-per-views that they used to do. Yikes. All right, there we go. I've been beckoned. I've been summoned. So as much of a blast as I'm having right now, and I really am, and I really like the fact that Road Wild, thank you. I love Road Wild. Even when they put in guys like the Worm and stuff like that, right? Hog Wild was the first one. Marine 45, the last thing. Thank you guys. I mean, I came in here and I knew I was going to do something a little bit different with the wrestling stuff. And I didn't know how it would go across, it would go over, and I've had a blast. This has been I've had a lot of fun doing this video, and I hope if people watch this afterwards that they enjoy this as well, because I really like, you know, I don't want to say I'm a closet wrestling fan, because you know, it's pretty obvious if you know me and if you see my channel. But I will definitely try and enjoy WrestleMania. I will see you guys back here probably tomorrow. I'm going to try and do a show again tomorrow. And have a great evening. I am Aaron. This is my movie library. You guys are the movie club, movie/wrestling club, right? Movie club wrestling edition. And a lot of the guys on there, as always, they have their own channels. Guys like 13 Wolfman That and N Ready. Make sure you check out their channels. They have some great stuff, some great content. Next week, Just to This podcast drops with my second episode on Vinegar Syndrome stuff. So if you're interested in that, make sure you check it out. I'm actually really excited about that. Thank you guys for watching. You guys rock. You guys make this awesome. And honestly, I could not do it without you. But right now, I'm going to get my butt whipped. There'll be some wrestling soon, because my better half will kick my butt if I don't go up and see what she needs. So I'll talk to you guys later, and have a great evening. Enjoy your evening.